Yo, what up, YouTube Gen X? I always get the question, where do I think we're going? Where do I think black men and women are headed? And obviously no one has the answer to that. Everybody's, speculating off of what they see. But to be real with you, I know people are going to have different responses, but I can say that most of them probably aren't going to sound good considering what we have, right? It's like falling down a hill and we're not at the bottom, so it's like we're still falling, and that kind of is scary for me. It's not like, how further can black people fall? I'm like, we're already at the bottom, but I'm like, all right, we're still going down this pit. I don't think a lot of people understand that. And we don't even know if it's bottomless. We're falling down this pit. We don't know if there's a floor, and we're not doing anything to stop ourselves from falling. Um, so if somebody asked me, where's the black community going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Probably still rolling down that pit or that, hill, right? And we don't know where the bottom is, right? And I say that because I look at even the people who want to come on and talk about fixing black relationships. Now, no one talks about how two productive black people can make it work. See, that's the issue. People act as if you stick two productive black men and women together and somehow they're supposed to magically work. No, they're going to have issues. But no one is speaking about the issues that productive black men and women will have in terms of trying to form that family unit. It's not a lock. It's not going to happen just because. There's some stuff that has to be talked about that we're not even there yet. That's why I get upset. We're not even there, right? So you have people who act like they're doing something big by talking about how not to get played, right? How to make sure that she's not going to steal your money, or how to make sure that, he's not just going to want to sleep with you and leave with you and leave you the next day. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that everybody has to watch out for the opposite gender in terms of how not to be played, right? But that doesn't cover how to build. And I've said this before, you get two productive black men and women together, they don't know what to do with themselves. Half the time you have the women folding. They don't know what to do, right? Okay, she's not a baby mama. She's not belligerent. What am I supposed to do? He has a job. He actually wants to be in a family. He's not trying to be this player. He's actually, upstanding, stand-up sort of guy. What are we supposed to do? Like I said, brothers have said, yo, a lot of these women fold. The second they do meet the men that they're talking about, they don't know what to do. And no one's addressing those problems, right? And to be fair, I've seen brothers meet good women, but because of, a lot of bad information and a lot of stereotypes, they didn't know what to do either, right? I'm like, damn, this chick, I don't have to worry about this chick. I don't really feel threatened in terms of her trying to dick me over, but I still don't know what to do to foster this relationship. But no one talks about that. Because it's a problem on both sides, I'll admit that. I'm not going to say that, oh, we're just perfect, but it's a problem on both sides of the coin. So the very fact that you know that any sort of discussion on relationships is about how not to get played, how not to get cheated on. I'm like, no one is saying that we shouldn't be talking about that, because there's people you have to watch out for, right? All groups. I've been out, and I've seen different married couples cheat on each other. That's why I'm like, it's funny where black men get that whole stereotype where cheaters are unfaithful. And brothers, y'all know it. How many times have you went out and you've seen a dude who was married and he's with a chick and it's kind of like, okay, that guy's married, but that's not his wife. Dude's Asian, right? Or dude, is white, or maybe he even like Middle Eastern. It's funny because, they won't creep with another Middle Eastern woman or, another woman of their own cultural background. They'll find that white girl, right? And they'll creep behind that white girl living out that fantasy. Now, I don't understand how, when it comes to minority men, black men are the only ones who kind of have this whole, and we desire white women. Are you sure about that? Are you sure that other cultures don't have that same sort of, what's the word that Willie P used, forbidden love, right? How many countries have been colonized and screwed over by Europeans where they've come through and said that this is what's true beauty is, right? How many groups of, how many different cultural groups have said that our pretty women are the women that look more like white women? So I'd say that every minority man has some sort of fantasy for the white chick, right? Because their beauty standard is based off of the white chick, right? So I've seen it happen, right? You know, I've seen the Indian guy, the Asian guy want to live out his fantasies and get that white chick, married or not married, right? You know, you're going out and you're getting something to eat, and it's like, okay, they're talking in the parking lot. You know, that's a key signifier. Who talks in the parking lot like that? You know, how come you're not talking normally? They're off in a parking lot where there's no other cars there, and they're talking, and you see them kissing or hugging each other, and it's like, that's not your wife, right? So, you know, what I'm trying to say is that, you know, everybody can get played. Everybody can be cheated on. That's only part of the equation when it comes to talking about relationships. You know, I've even been through that where, you know, there was a chick that, you know, we didn't work together, but she worked for the district, and, you know, she had, you know, inappropriate contact with me in terms of calling me and texting me. You know, I didn't, you know, play into that, but I'm like, you're married. Not even recently married. You're married and you have kids. You know, if I was feeling her like that, I probably would have, you know, did something, but I didn't even like her like that. But it's kind of like, oh, okay, so this is what goes on, and she wasn't black, right? You know, and I've seen, and, you know, me being younger and me seeing, I've seen some shit. That's the crazy thing about it. You know, I've seen principals and administrators have all sorts of inappropriate relationships with the teachers. I'm not saying they are having sex, but I've seen it. Right? If I wanted to be this little blackmail sort of dude, oh, I can easily be blackmailing people. Easily. Right? You know, that's a pretty woman. You guys make a good couple, but that's not your wife or that's not your husband. What's going on? I see it, but other people don't see it. Right? You know, I've seen the shit where, you know, they're passing each other messages through the mailbox because they don't want to text each other or email each other. I've seen it. Like, that's not your mailbox, right? Mr. Thomas, that's not your mailbox. Why are you putting it in Julia's box? And Julia's like, you know, the younger Latina secretary. Oh, gosh. You know, I can do a whole video on that, right? You know, you got that cute Latina secretary working at your school. Everybody finds a way to be there. The PE teacher, the principal, the regular teacher, the security guards, the maintenance men. They're all there for whatever reason having small conversation like, what are you doing in the main office? What business do you have here? And all these motherfuckers is married. And all of them are not black. Right? I just had to put that out there. I'm sorry. That's a horrible rant. So everybody can be cheated on. Everybody has to look out for that. But it doesn't account for how to actually build, right? So the fact that all these conversations on black relationships and black love have to deal with how to not be cheated on and how to not be played instead of how to build when you're not worrying about the other person trying to, like, dick you over or screw you over. You know, the fact that we're not having those conversations, it tells me where we're at. And it tells me how far off we are, right? You know, I don't think people understand how hard it is to make it work with two productive people. You start to factor in job security, you know, religion. There's a whole bunch of stuff that has to be accounted for. People's just personal personalities, right? You have to understand you can be a good person. She can be a good person, but, you know, you may not have compatible personalities. Should I change who I am? You know, how far do I go? You know, bend, not break. You know, like, there's so much that goes into it that we're not talking about, and it's sad. It's sad because, like I said before, you get two black people who should be able to work in terms of having that level of quality and productivity, and it's not popping off because they don't know what to do. Right? I'll give black women a round of applause. You know, y'all know how to, you know, talk about bullshit black men and what they're about and what they're going to try to do, but when it comes to the men that you need to be with, you fall off. Like I said before, other groups of women know how to deal with and identify the quality men. Black women do the opposite. They know how to identify and deal with the bullshit men, right? So when, the dudes of quality come around, I'm not sure what I need to be doing. I'm not sure, right? And like I said, there's the other side to that as well. You have so many brothers that are worried about, man, this bitch is going to try to play me. She wants me for my money. So, I'm going to give it to her, but I'm going to make sure that, she's not going to get me caught up. And it's just like, here comes the chick who's not really on that tip. What do I do? How do I put my guard down? Not to say that, I don't need to protect myself, but how do I proceed? Because I'm only really used to dealing with the chicks that are going to try to, scove her. But she's not like that. So what exactly do I have to do? Right? Because that is a big problem. Right? I'm not even going to lie. That's something that I'm learning as well. I'm not perfect and I'm still trying to grow just like y'all. Right? So it's like, yo, you hear so much about, the bullshit black women that are going to try to, manipulate you and use you. So what do you do with the chick who's not on that tip? How far should I bend? Going back to that whole concept once again, the bend, not break. How much do I have to change? How do I accommodate her? How do we grow together? Right? Which is difficult. Like I said, I'm not perfect. If everybody, if everybody had to see a counselor, I'm there as well. Right? I'm not perfect by any means, and I have shit that I'm working on. That I have to grow and understand how to deal with it, because you do hear so much shit that doesn't really help you, right? So, once again, people say, where's the black community going to go? And I'm like, look at what we're talking about. The black family's disappearing, black love, blah, 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 blah. Let's talk about black relationships. How to make sure your spouse isn't cheating on you. Is she playing you? Right? Is she trying to use you? Does he just want sex from you? Is she trying to, stab holes in your condom? And it's kind of like, all right, yeah, this is important, I guess, especially if you're younger, but are we talking about how to build? Are we talking about how to make it work, right? When we don't have to worry about the other side trying to destroy us, right? So that's my vid. Y'all take it easy. God bless.